The Keeping Me Up podcast with you as always is me, Shane. This is gonna be a lighter one. Last edition was with my friend Jessica, and it was a beautiful just conversation about mental health and depression and getting treatments. But today we have my awesome friend from down in the hot spot that is Miami. Everybody, welcome Yaina to the show. Hi, Yaina. Say hello to the audience of one.
You guys.
Literally, hello everyone, and we love you. That one.
Yeah.
So Gina's here just to talk about one of the things we bonded over when we met was just nerdy shit. And so maybe it doesn't necessarily keep us up, but if you're or the average person up, but if you're a nerd like me, and you see all these ships behind me, you know that the current state of our world of sci-fi, fantasy, and superheroes is enough to keep anybody up as dumb people ruin our franchises. So, Yaina, tell me, what qualifies you to be a nerd and talk about nerdy things with any authority?
Well, I mean, do I have to have qualifiers other than like just loving nerd stuff and like constantly watching it, reading up on it, just that in general?
Well, I don't know. I think you might be a little bit of a poser because behind you, all I see is a chair and a handle for a bag and a wall and a curtain. Do you have any nerdy things in your room that you want to show the audience?
Sure, I can show you my little collection here.
Yeah, let's see your collection. Let's see what qualifies you. Superman, Star Wars, Goku, Doctor Strange. Is that Doctor Strange? You have Twilight. This is disgusting. You have Twilight.
Listen,
Superman again. Harry Potter.
They were a gift.
They were a gift.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. The Twilight books were a gift. I still stand by my opinion that vampires should never sparkle. Ever.
Damn right. That's so stupid. And they should stay away from baseball, but that's another story. So, what is your favorite... Okay, let's go down the list so the audience can kind of get to know you. Who's your favorite superhero?
Obviously, Superman. If you guys didn't notice by all of the figurines that I have, I still have more, actually.
Who's the best Superman?
Around my room. That's a hard question to answer.
Tell me, why is it a hard question to answer? We'll tell the audience.
Because they all have their unique characteristics and like their own thing that makes them great.
Brandon Routh?
It's hard to what?
Brandon Routh? When you say everyone, are you basically referring to two people?
Well, are we also including the actors that have played like TV series?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Okay. Well then, yeah, because I mean, Dean Cain had his like little quirk going on for a second. I mean, Brandon Roth is not the best of like interpretations for Superman, but he came after Christopher Reeves, so it's kind of hard to like feel emotions, especially.
But he also came.
People who are still hung up on that.
But he also came 20 years after Christopher Reeve made his last film. So at that time, a lot of people. There's a debate of who's the best Batman, and you have a lot of consecutive Batmans. Now, taking Val Kilmer and George Clooney out of the equation, you've got Michael Keaton, who's coming back, Christian Bale, and Ben Affleck, which my opinion is actually in the minority that Affleck actually understands the character better than anyone and did the most justice to Bruce and Batman. But of course, he suffered from being in those horrific, god-awful films. But some people like Christian Bale, that was about 20 years, 92 to 2005? So, okay, so, all right, maybe not 20 years, but 12, 13 years after Michael Keaton, Brandon Routh had 20 years to distance himself. Do you think the mistake was that they set Superman Returns as a direct sequel to Superman 2?
I think so, yeah. And I think you brought up a really good point. The fact that there's like this huge 20-year gap between movies. I think they should have introduced him as a new superhero. Granted, Superman is one of the most well-known superheroes ever. Um, but I think that they failed to just kind of just like, instead of doing a continuation, set
Reboot.
him up as a brand new movie that
A reboot.
explained his origins and brought everything like from a different perspective.
Like they did with Henry Cavill. Or did they fuck up Man of Steel? Because the argument is, of course, by a good majority. I actually like that film. It's the only film in that DC wannabe itself universe that I actually really like. I know I'm in the minority again, but like,
Yes, you
but
are.
most people think it's god awful and completely betrays who Clark and Jor-El are, Kal-El are. So it's like, what's your take on that controversial topics?
I know, I definitely agree. And I think this is a conversation that you and I have had in the past. I seriously disliked Man of Steel, mainly because I feel like they didn't do Superman any justice whatsoever. They completely flipped him from being. Actually, let me take a step back, right?
Hmm.
And I know that I've mentioned this to you before. I see um, Batman and Superman as like two sides of the same coin. One is light and one is dark. Batman is dark, Superman is light.
Mm-hmm.
So with this movie Man of Steel, they completely switched it around and they turned him into like this super dark figure, very broody, very like misunderstood in his own
But
world and like
but like,
all of that. And that's not who the superhero is. That's not who the
but
superhero is at all.
but do you appreciate the more gritty, realistic take that the Dark Knight films made with Batman to make it feel like it was a grounded universe that was plausible?
Yes.
So why
Yes.
not apply that to Superman in a real life situation scenario? Superman would be mistrusted. Any multiple governments would try to use him, manipulate him. He would be this just godlike figure who many people, we see how many people worship non-godlike figures in today's world. They would worship him like in those films. That's something I do feel they got right. They would fear him. They would try to manipulate him, and he would be maybe not afraid because he's Superman, but he would have these torn loyalties. He would have this darkness to him. I understand his father being like, you have to protect yourself. It isn't about sharing. Like, isn't it? If we're going to enjoy darker, more realistic takes on Batman and other superheroes, like what X-Men tried to do in 2000, when they made it a little more grounded than like the cartoon, that was a mistake, but that it got the ball rolling on many things. Why not do that with Soups and be able to take that away from him and say, okay, you're not just doing the same tried and true shit with him. You're grounding him in reality and giving him a little bit more depth in the same way that like they had to, and more intellectually and superior in a more superior way, did that with Captain America, someone who could be so hokey and so corny. They took him and gave him all those characteristics, but gave him the depth for the modern day world that he was able to evolve.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that is a great point. However, um, if you know the character at all, if you've like read the comics or seen the cartoons, because you don't even have to go to the original comic,
Yeah.
you know that one thing, like one of the main characteristics of Superman is just the fact that he is innately good.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants to do good. He wants to help. Like he sees it as his duty
Mm-hmm.
because he has these powers to be able to help those who need it. You know, and to strip him of it in its entirely, to me, feels like a complete disjustice to the character. Because like if it's something like if they would have meshed a little bit more what you just said with the fact that, like, it's an internal struggle, like, I want to be good, but I want to follow what my dad says, and I want to be like, like, keep my powers hidden so that I don't get so I don't get caught by the government or something like that, like, all that
Yeah.
stuff. And don't even get me started on the fact that the government couldn't find his spaceship, which was in their barn, hidden. That's like that's something
Yeah,
else completely.
no, that's true.
But yeah.
I
But
gotta
if
turn off
like
my
if
AC.
there would have been like more of a struggle, I think that there would have been that I would have liked it more, and I would have seen a little bit more of a character development, and I would have also seen them stay a little bit truer to the actual superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Versus what they did was just like strip him of all his goodness, and like you see it a little bit towards the end when he like starts to like when he like gives himself over to what's
Zod.
his name, Jarrell? No, yes, Zod. Sorry.
Jarrell's his pops.
I know.
Wow, some Superman fan you are.
Got confused, man. It happens.
You're in Miami. It's okay. It's a backwards place. No, I love Miami, not Florida, but that's beside the point. But yeah, I mean, I get. That is a really good point. They did strip him. Doing reboots, I feel, are only successful when you keep the core of who that person is. And you're right. I can see where that was taken away from him. I mean, they try to inject that.
If it's just like darkness all around, because I mean, they didn't really get a chance. They didn't really get around to like doing the Batman movie, but I feel like when they did like Batman versus Superman, and then Superman, and then Justice League, and it's just been dark all over. Like it's like darkness, 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 darkness. But there's no light, except until you get to like Wonder Woman, where you go like, whoop.
Yeah.
And then a little bit when you get to like Aquaman, and then that's it. And then
Shazam.
come back again.
And Shazam.
Because like even Birds of Prey wasn't that great, so it's just like.
Wait, what?
Birds of Prey?
Oh, that didn't come out yet. You mean Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Yeah, Birds of Prey is a sequel that may or may not come out at some point when COVID ends. But I mean, Shazam also was uplifting. But even that, I mean, that was pretty dark too, with everything with the parents. But I think that had the right balance to it. So
yes,
that's what it is. I mean, I didn't see it in its entirety, but so I really can't speak on that. But I digress.
But I also feel like,
yeah.
To interrupt you, but I also feel like Shazam wasn't geared towards like young adults, like all of the other movies are. Mm-hmm. Because if you want to ground it in something a little bit more realistic and you want to make it more lifelike, you're not targeting children. You're targeting young adults, because that's the people that are going to go to the movies to watch these, right? And they're the ones that, and if you think about it, the parents are the ones that are going to take their children to watch these movies.
But
so
they
you
do.
have to captivate them.
But they do, because I mean, when Batman came out, I was 9 when Tim Burton's Batman came out. That ages me, but or maybe about to turn 9 in '89, because I'm born in late June. That for its time was considered dark. It was like Batman, because all we knew of Batman for the prior 30 to 40 years. I mean, the serials were ancient news when our grandparents were like young on the big screen. So really, all you had aside from the comic was Adam West and Burt Ward and Cesar Romero and Burgess Meredith and Julie Newmar and Frank Gorshin. That's all you had to bow, wham, plop. So when we had Batman had a black suit all of a sudden, and he was dangling people over buildings, and he was killing people. I mean, people forget that Michael Keaton's Batman just killed people. And we really haven't gotten back to that until Ben Affleck's. But that was considered dark. But I was 8, 9 years old. Kids were in that movie theater. I think these superhero films have always been targeted at anyone of any age who likes it. And the parents take them regardless, no matter how dark it is. I mean, Catwoman, there was so much sexual innuendo with her licking his face and grabbing his codpiece and caressing his chest. You know, I'm 11, 12 at the time when that one comes out. And now you have just him snapping. I mean, the joke in South Park that the MPAA is, I was like, you know, deplorable, horrific violence is totally okay as long as no one says any naughty words. Him snapping Zod's neck, which we'll get to next, I don't think it really phases a 6, 7, 8-year-old. So I think these movies are actually geared towards everyone from really 5 up because their parents are going to take them because it's Superman. And do you feel like that's screwing the audience out of real Superman and like tricking the kids, or what do you think about that?
You do bring up a really good point though, because I remember watching those Batman movies with Michael Keaton, and let me tell you, sexual innuendo aside with Michelle Pfeiffer, like that scene where she stuck the bird in her mouth, like
I forgot about that. And the penguin and biting noses and his flippers.
Yes, exactly. And not for nothing, but like Danny DeVito did an excellent job as Penguin because like he like really embodied Penguin. Like,
but that's also a betrayal of the core character of Penguin as well.
Yeah, but I feel like agreed, 100% agreed.
And they cast Pee Wee Herman as his father, who had just come off of the jerking off scandal. So I digress. You probably don't remember that, but he was caught in a porn theater in like '91, jerking off, and that's when CBS canceled Pee Wee's Playhouse. That's when he got blackballed by Hollywood, and Tim Burton's like, "I'll put you in a film," and he played Penguin's father. So, for kids.
Jesus. Yeah. I don't really think that those movies are geared towards children.
But we all saw it. At what age, though? You know, I mean, we all saw it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And it was.
I mean, what is it? As long as like character categorized PG, like anyone can watch it.
Yeah. Well, G is general, but PG for parental guidance. So it's like, I'm guiding you towards the money. Go see it. Get out of my hair. You weren't stopping any kids from seeing that movie.
I'm guiding you towards the what's the theater?
The box office, yeah. I mean,
exactly.
Danny DeVito was great, but he was gross and disgusting. And then it trailed off. I mean, Jack Nicholson was a brilliant Joker. Is he the best Joker? No, not in my opinion. But but he's more true to the original comics. You know, and he was brilliant. But I mean, he was all about just humping and dumping like he did with Mick Jagger's wife and the Daryl Hall, and then of course Kim Basinger with Vicky Vale. He was all about it, and he wanted to hit that and kill Batman, and it was a very dark thing. Now, I mean, so we're not going to see. We were talking about how maybe we won't have a debate about this because we tend to agree on things, but I agree. I think Man of Steel wasn't terrible, and you think it completely betrayed who he was. Now, what do you think of? What's that actor's name who played Superman in Man of Steel? Wait, who?
Henry Cavill.
You seem to know that with some assuredness.
You know I love him. So
yeah, so the other day.
Don't even feign ignorance. You know I love him.
So I was watching Anna, that Star Wars girl, another YouTuber who's actually successful, and someone had sent her the video. Henry Cavill posted this video on his social media where he built a PC, I guess from scratch or whatever, and she was just like, she was all horned up, Anna, the Star Wars girl, and of course, I mean, I don't blame her. I wish I was Henry Cavill. I wish I looked like him. And of course, the first thing I did was send it to Gina because she is, as the look on her face right now will tell you, she is absolutely in love with Hank. So, despite the fact that he was in, is Man of Steel the worst Superman film? Standalone Superman film. Let's not get into Justice League and BVS.
No.
Where does it rank of the 6 standalone films?
That's a good question. I've actually never really given that
I mean, I assume Superman 3 or 4 is going to get the bottom vote for you.
Yeah, you're right.
Because Superman 3 was, I mean, I love Richard Pryor, but it was a Richard Pryor film. The cool part was seeing him fight himself. 4 was just a clusterfuck of insanity with Nuclear Man.
Yeah.
And John Cryer, because they said, let's put John Cryer in it. But, and everyone's breathing on the moon. And then, of course, we have Superman Returns, Superman 2, Superman, and then Man of Steel. I mean, I think probably Superman 2 is the best of those films. What do you think?
Now that I think about it, I agree with you. I do think that Superman 2 is the best.
Now, when you go back and watch it, though, it's corny as fuck.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, whenever you go back and watch any old movie, for that matter, they're all corny. All of them.
And let me tell you something. The intentionally corny film of the Batman, of Adam West Batman, his movie, that they did between seasons 1 and 2, it's actually... It's brilliant. It's what, you know, meta. It's commenting on how corny it is. It's actually fucking brilliant. It's intentionally corny, intentionally bad, and Adam West and Burt Ward, they play it so straight-faced. I mean, there's a reason why Adam West was offered the role of James Bond. Like, he was an American offered the role of James Bond. Like, he's brilliant, or was brilliant, rest his soul. So for me, that movie actually gets better with time, as opposed to watching something like Tim Burton's Batman films. They get worse with age. While Michael Keaton might be outstanding, I mean, forget Forever and forget Batman and Robin, but I feel like those two films actually get worse with age, especially Batman Returns. And then you see, like, the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, Dark Knight Rises to me is like they dropped the ball, but like those first two, especially the second one, it was just like, oh my god, this is so good. Whereas maybe Bale is not the best, but Keaton is better, but the story and overall arc. So like, how much of that makes a difference? How much does that weigh? Like, would you put the truer take on Supes with Christopher Reeve and say that 3 and 4 are actually better than Man of Steel? Because Man of Steel betrays the character, or is it a better film and a better performance ultimately by Henry Cavill, or not a better film? Where does that intertwine for you, Miss Cavill?
Okay. Thanks for putting me on the spot, Shane.
Well, you're the Superman authority here, so...
Let's see. I will say this. Superman 4, definitely the worst one out of all of them.
Okay, so Superman 4 is number 6 on the standalone chart.
Yeah.
Then?
I think that I can't make up my mind whether Superman 3 or Superman Returns. Like, I feel like they're kind of like fighting for 5th and 4th place.
Well, I think there's anytime you're rooting for the other guy to get Lois, you really fuck the character of Clark over.
Yes!
Because it's funny how James Marsden goes from being shunned completely as Cyclops, because they like, well, you have Patrick Stewart, and he's like, you know, Patrick Stewart, but then you have Hugh Jackman, so we can't have any of the men. So the first film was what it was, 90 minutes long. The second film, like, how do we get Cyclops out of this? Oh, we'll have him drugged. Yeah. And the third film, like, oh, we'll just fucking kill him. And so then you have James Marsden going to Superman, not playing any superhero, a regular fucking dude. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I feel for him. Superman doesn't know. Superman left, and Lois was awful. I mean, Kate Bosworth.
I think out of all of the Superman movies, she has got to be the worst Lois Lane I have ever seen in my entire life.
Have they ever gotten Lois right on screen, though? Honestly?
No, they haven't, and that's a completely different topic. But Kate Bosworth does a horrible job as Lois Lane. Horrible.
Who came to close to getting it right? I think Smallville actually did the best job of getting Lois right.
I think you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was thinking that too. That it was either her or what's this actress actress's name that did the original with Christopher Reeves?
Oh, Margot Kidder.
Yes. It was either her or Margot Kidder.
I mean, she was very 70s, very 80s, very spunky, very, very New York. But I still felt like she was too stupid at times. But granted, so was Clark at times. I guess everyone in those movies were a little too stupid. I don't.
Mm-hmm. I think she does a better job because I think about, let's take what's her name? Amy Adams is the one that did it now with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
I didn't like her.
I don't like her.
I didn't think she did. I don't think that she did the character any justice whatsoever.
I like her. I don't like her as Lois.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kate Bosworth, we've established that she's fucking worse. Terry Hatcher.
Hatcher.
She was
Desperate Housewife.
She was huh?
She's a Desperate Housewife.
I tried to say it right.
She's also in the Ashley Judd school of denying that she was ever on Star Trek, so she can really go fuck herself. If you want to pretend like you weren't on Star Trek, even though you were, obviously.
I know.
Nope. But she was okay though.
She was.
That show was a comedy though, so it was like.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't really think that it was like
Yeah.
Like she was okay, but it wasn't.
But Smallville, I'd say.
It wasn't a true representation of Lois Lane.
No. But it's funny that we don't know the name of the actress from Smallville, but she probably was the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
And then, yeah.
I don't, like, don't get me wrong. I think Smallville was great.
Not the entire run of that.
Moments.
Yeah.
What?
Not the entire run. They went too long.
No. Not the entire run. Because I was about to say that after a certain season, it just kind of like.
For me, it was after the father died, the 100th episode. After that, I was like, hard to go back and watch it now with Alison Pill.
Yeah.
Knowing that she was selling children. You know about that, right?
I'm sorry?
You know about Alison Pill, the friend? The journalist friend? The girl with the blonde hair from Smallville?
No.
She was arrested a couple years ago, and she's in jail for sex trafficking of minors. She was involved in, like...
What?
I wouldn't say Jeffrey Epstein levels of it, but, like, not... Yeah, she's a piece of shit.
Oh, I had no idea. Well, I never really liked her character to begin with, so there's that.
Who's the best Lex?
Ooh. Definitely not the one from Man of Steel. What's his name? The one that he was in
he's the worst.
The Facebook movie?
I think he's actually the worst. Jesse Eisenberg.
He is.
Like, why are you making him just like... What? That's not Lex Luthor. I don't know. I'll wait for you to give your opinion. Who do you think is the best?
Who I think is the best?
Mm-hmm.
As much as I'm not a huge fan of him now, I really do like Kevin Spacey's interpretation of Lex.
Over Gene Hackman?
I wasn't even counting him, to be honest.
He's the Christopher Reeve one. He quit up a Reeve one. I can't speak. I can't believe you just said that. I can't believe you said you're not going to count Gene Hackman. A legend that... Oh, and she pauses the video. She's so mad at Gene Hackman. I like Michael Rosenbaum. Smallville's Lex again.
I mean, don't get me... No, I didn't like him.
I love what they did with him in that. I felt like he was actually turning evil, and he had a struggle with who he was.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there 100%. I just, like... I don't know, like, I have such a hard time associating him with Lex.
Fair enough.
Like, even when he was buddy, and it's just like I only saw him as like a kid that wanted to like do some sort of like mischief, and I never really saw him as like pure evil.
I guess his father was better. I guess Luther was better in that show.
That is 100% true.
John Glover, who played, well, he played the scientist that turned Bane into Bane in Batman and Robin. But he voiced the Riddler on the Batman 90s animated series, which is probably the most faithful adaptation of the Riddler. Yeah, I think so.
I didn't know that at all.
He flirted with me once on a train. I
like him as an actor.
He was great. He is great. He flirted with me on a train though once.
Really?
When I was young and skinny and in my 20s, I was on the train and he's sitting across from me and I notice it's him and I don't say anything. It's New York. You see celebrities all the time. And he looks up and he's just like. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, and I start to smile because I'm like, oh fuck, the Riddler's flirting with me. And I think my smile misled him to think that like I was like down for it. But I wasn't, and he got off, I think, before I did. And then he probably went home, thought of me, and got off again. So, you know. So I gave the Riddler a riddle. All right, getting off Superman. All right, well, okay. No, knock it out. Because you have to explain why Henry Cavill's great, even though his character is not. Not just because of the way he looks. Not just because of the way he looks.
I mean, that has a huge influence in it. And they hardly gave him any lines. Did you notice that? They hardly gave him any lines in the movie. At all.
He had
like, I think he
lines.
Like maybe 30 minutes in the entire movie.
He has plenty of lines. He has plenty of lines. All right, fine. So basically, your entire basis of how good a Superman he was based on his look, which basically means that Christopher Reeve is by default the best Superman, in your opinion.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So, Batman, DC, Marvel, everything that's going on. Obviously, I mean, we're in agreement. Marvel has their shit together. At least they had their shit together. And DC hasn't. But we're at this juncture now. We're at this crucial moment in fandom where it almost appears that the tide is turning for both. Where DC's finally embraced their chaos and said, everything's multiverse. Do whatever the fuck you want. Do Joker. Do Twilight as Batman. You know, obviously, you've got to give him a fair shake. I don't like the idea of him. But I didn't like the idea of Heath Ledger to begin with also. So, pie's on my face. They're embracing the randomness.
Wait. Because there's like...
Heath Ledger at the time, his most famous role was 10 Things I Hate About You and Brokeback Mountain, which he was great in Brokeback Mountain, and A Knight's Tale, I think it was. So like Brokeback Mountain was great, but as the Joker, can you honestly say when they announced that you saw that?
No, absolutely not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't want him at first.
But I had an open mind. Because like, yes, while all of Heath Ledger's most famous films were rom-coms. I don't know, like I saw something in him that I thought that,
But
I
Pattinson?
think he might be able to pull something off. I don't know if it'll be as good as Jack Nicholson's, but
I
think he'll do something. But then, like, when I actually saw the movie, and I was just like, whoa.
Holy shit, is the best one.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He took it to another level.
But Pattinson?
No. Like, I have yet to see that man in a movie where I'm like, okay, he's got acting skills. I feel like him and Kristen Stewart is just, like, one same face throughout the entire shit.
Yeah.
Are you gonna tell me someone that's not true.
No. I don't disagree with you. I'm going to play the devil's advocate on behalf of a lot of other people that I've spoken with about it, where they're like, yeah, but he's really taken on some really great roles lately, and he's done like his independent. He hates Twilight, and he did it for the money, and now he has the flexibility to do whatever he wants, which I don't think is entirely true, but it turned out to be that way, and he's going to be great. I just can't. I can't get over the fact that, like, okay, Michael Keaton was a skinny Batman, Val Kilmer was in decent shape, and so was George Clooney, but like, if you're going to be in this gritty real life world where you're Batman and you're like skinny as a rake. Now the hypocrisy in that is, while she gets toned up, say like Scarlett Johansson is also skinny as fuck. Like, she's not kicking people's asses.
Scarlett Johansson has curves.
She has curves are different than muscle though. Like, in reality though, Jeremy Renner and her shouldn't be kicking anyone's ass. So, but then again, of course, Robert Pattinson looks even more like a rake than either of them do. And he says that he doesn't feel like he should bulk up because it creates a bad stereotype for men. It creates a bad precedence for men. He's like, James Dean didn't have to work out. Marlon Brando didn't have to work out. I don't have to work out. And different times. And they also weren't playing the Batman.
Superheroes.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, they weren't playing superheroes, period.
Yeah. So it's...
I feel like that's complete and utter bullshit.
I do too, and I feel like if that's the approach you're gonna,
if
that's the approach you're gonna take to Batman, while I do like a lot of their casting choices, like I'm still, my friend says that Zoe Kravitz took a huge leap in her displaying her acting ability in Pretty Little Liars. I don't watch it. I've never seen her anything that really proved to me like, okay, she's really good. She's always been good, but like really good. But she's Catwoman. I can see that. Jeffrey Wright, you know Jeffrey Wright, right? He was the guy in the wheelchair in the Hunger Games. He was Peoples and Shaft. He's played Martin Luther King once. Like, you know Jeffrey Wright. I know you know Jeffrey Wright. Anyway, he's playing Commissioner Gordon. Paul Dano's playing the Riddler. They have some good people in this movie. I'm worried about the hero of the movie, and that's
anyone would.
I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are like, this is gonna be the greatest Batman of all time, and I really don't fucking see it. Everyone is.
I have a healthy amount of skepticism.
I have more than skepticism. I think it's gonna be shit, but. I mean, I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot. But I mean, who would you cast as Batman if you could?
Ooh.
And don't say Henry Cavill because he don't count.
No, and plus I wouldn't want him to be Batman. That's kind of hard.
I mean,
I don't really see anyone as Batman.
I didn't see for the longest time the whole John Hamm argument. I see him 15 years ago because now he's older and I just don't see him as it. I think they need an undiscovered actor like they did with Christopher Reeve, and it's a different time now, and you need people to carry a franchise who are well known. It's a completely different time, but I don't know. I think we're kind of really run out of ideas with any guys who can play Batman.
Actors, like today's actors, I have such a really hard time picturing anyone filling those shoes.
Yeah.
Like, even let's put aside my fascination for Henry Cavill. And if we're actually going to talk about him doing the actual role of Superman, I would need him to have more lines, one, two, actually embody the actual superhero, not just name your dog Cow, because that doesn't really count. To like prove to me that he would be like great Superman. Because yes, he has the physique. Yes, he has the black hair, blue eyes.
So you're admitting he's not a great Superman. You're admitting that he doesn't embody Kal-El.
Well, I thought we had established that before.
maybe I missed that. I thought maybe I missed that. Yeah, I guess so.
Plus, like, no, because what did I say before? I said like he has literally less than 30 minutes of dialogue in the entire movie.
Have you counted?
There is no way for you to there's no humanly way possible for you to like establish, oh my god, this person embodies Superman from like head to toe, just on him like standing and being broody. Like, come on now.
Do that broody look again?
Huh?
Do that broody Henry Cavill look again? You just did like this like. So that sums up your assessment of his performance totally. I mean, that's fair. I do agree with you. I mean, it is something that we've been spoiled with going back to the whole Marvel thing, where we have, for the most part, these actors that just, you feel like they embody these characters. And while we know they're acting, and a good actor can do what they can, but it's a combination of script, director, editor, actor, and understanding what's on your shoulders. And I think, I mean, I do feel as if Henry Cavill hasn't had the opportunity to actually carry the character with him where he goes, because of how much of a clusterfuck those films just almost immediately became. You know, Man of Steel divided people, but it wasn't divisive in a way that BVS was, and then Justice League was. So they're literally just sitting there, him and Assflex, just kind of depressed in those press junkets, just like there's no carrying of those characters with them. So whether or not he's gotten a fair shake, I don't think he has. Yeah. But so imagine if like you had an Avengers movie like that, you might think the same thing of Chris Evans, if he didn't have the opportunity to live with that character for 8 years, or however long he played him, have good scripts, have the best of the trilogies of any superhero film franchise I can think of, in my opinion, and have lines, since I never noticed that he only had 30 minutes worth of lines on him. Sure, you've counted. And that goes back to the whole Marvel DC shit, where it's like now you have DC embracing their chaos, and you have Marvel kind of off the rails with no plan. The franchise that very early on had an idea for a plan, then executed that plan fairly flawlessly. And now they're just like, well, Phase 4 is going to be random shit here and there, and eventually we'll come back around to a greater story. Who's really going to be the leader of the Avengers? They're trying to sway it in the way of Captain Marvel, when in reality you have two other superheroes that are, you know, in my opinion, based on how they've built this world, T'Challa is probably the person in the best position to actually lead, as far as a leader goes. But as far as like having access to the world of the Avengers, it would be Peter Parker, because T'Challa's busy running a country, a little busier than being an Avenger. So and I feel like that could be a relationship that they've really not had a chance to nurture, to be two sides of the same coin, different, but in that same reflection of each other that you have with Tony and Cap. But they're trying to force Brie Larson into that role, and having notions of combining Spider-Man 3 with Marvel 2, and because they felt like he humanized her for the 2 seconds, you're like, hi, Peter Parker. What are your thoughts on where they're going as opposed to where DC is going? And is DC in a better position than Marvel at the moment? Well, I turn back on my AC.
To that question, let me quickly just answer the Batman question that you asked me before.
Yes.
So, I don't think that there's anyone right now that I could legit pick out and be like, okay, I think he would be a good Batman. I think I would have to do serious amount of research to be able to find someone that like could build Batman up from like the ground up, like you were saying before. Sort of like what Marvel did with like Captain America. I think that's the best example. That they turned Chris Evans into Captain America. Like any other Captain America that comes after him is just, to me, not going to be Captain America. Chris Evans is always going to be
If they're playing Steve Rogers, not the mantle of Captain America, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, then, for your Marvel versus DC question, I think that Marvel started off so strong, and they did such an amazing job of establishing their primary superheroes, the story arc, where they wanted everything to go. And as soon as they started going into phase, I don't know, 458, um,
It's only phase
and they
4.
started introducing, exactly, um, and they started introducing these horrific casting options because, like, not for nothing, Brie Larson sucks balls. Like,
But isn't she the only
I
bad
have not
casting
seen
they've done though? That's kind of the only one.
what?
Isn't that really the only really piss poor casting they've done though for a franchise in Phase 3?
Uh,
Because Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, is great. I don't think his movie was
yeah.
great. I think
I actually disagree. I actually really like Doctor Strange.
I know
One of
you
my
did.
favorite ones.
Well, we have a disagreement on Chadwick Boseman. Because when Panther came out, you would have rather seen Killmonger. You would have rather seen Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman swapped. I disagree. I disagree completely. Why is it that you feel Michael B. Jordan is better? Would have been a better Black Panther than Chadwick is.
Just the way that he carries himself, and just like the confidence and powers that he exudes. Just not in his role as Killmonger, just like as a person, as like just him standing up. Like, I don't know how to call it or what it is, but
the gravitas, the command, the power he commands when he walks.
Exactly.
But
exactly. I just feel like, and also the fact that I've seen him play some amazing roles, and I know that he has like the acting chops to like pull off T'Challa way better than Chadwick Boseman.
But what's?
I mean, not to say that he didn't do a good job, because he did.
But what's flawed about it?
What?
What's flawed with Chadwick Boseman? And going back to your argument is, do they embody that character? Are they betraying the core essence of who that character is? Wouldn't a more forceful T'Challa not be accurate to who he is? He's a little bit more reserved.
So here's the thing.
It's fair.
That's the thing.
The goats has returned.
No. I mean, I don't think that, like I said, I don't think he did a bad job, and I don't think that there was anything. I don't think there was anything about him in particular that I could say, like, oh, he didn't do T'Challa any justice, or he didn't do this any justice. Because I think overall, I think he really did a good job, and like he did the best that he could as someone coming in to like fill in the shoes of his father and running a nation and having lost his father the way that he did because he wasn't prepared for that loss, you know, and having to deal with all of that before he like fully takes on the mantle, you know. He might have done like a thing here, thing there, but he wasn't like ready for like the full on responsibility that is to be the Black Panther, and also like the king of a nation, right? So I think that his interpretation of it was good. I just didn't feel like he had like that presence that Michael B. Jordan had. You know, like I like found myself like, yes, T'Challa, I want you to win, but like also like, you know, Killmonger can win too. You know, like like.
Well,
I found
okay.
myself
The
rooting
physical
for him
aspects
more.
of why you rooted for Michael B. Jordan aside, because I know there's some Henry Cavill philosophy in that. But I mean, I do feel, especially that film is even more relevant today than it was just 2.5 years ago, right? Yeah, 2018, right? Yeah, that it came in February 2018, because when you go back and you can see how the villain was right, and that's why I love the fact that Chadwick Boseman has this more reserved kind of presence about him as opposed to Jordan's portrayal of Killmonger, because I look at some of the greatest, usually sequels, but the greatest movies of all time of genre film, quote unquote, and the villain outshines the antagonist outshines the protagonist. Khan outshined Kirk. Vader outshined Luke on many occasions. Yeah. That's a less to a lesser extent because it wasn't really focused on in the original trilogy. Thanos outshines everyone in Infinity War. That's his film.
Yes, he does.
You know, there was another one I was thinking of that it's just the Joker. Heath Ledger outshines Christian Bale by a good country mile. And for me, when you can go back and you can see a lot of things the Joker said, as far as how society, you kill a gangbanger and it's like no one bats an eye, but all of a sudden you tell me like a car full of soldiers blew up, my bad impersonation, who everybody loses their mind, and it's true. And then you look at Killmonger saying, why aren't we helping our people across the world? Why are we keeping this to ourselves? Why can we can do more and we're not? And especially for today's world, that message is so important, so true, and so spot on that he had to be so much more forceful to bring the king around, the new king around, and for for T'Challa to have that conversation with T'Chaka in the spirit world to be like, Dad, you fucked up, and you didn't leave me as prepared as possible. And for it to have that character progression, like the antagonist has to push you forward, and they can only, in the best of genre cinema or any story, push you forward when, to a great extent, they're speaking that truth, and they're speaking it with power, and they're speaking it more clearly, and with greater influence than the protagonist, I feel like. And that's why, for me, it's like, while I hear your argument, I'm like, I would never change that because that was so important to who T'Challa is. Granted, with how messed up Marvel is, we may never fully explore who that character actually is in subsequent films because they're just kind of all over the place. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like that's so vital and important and lent itself to his. There's no Wakanda. They don't beat Thanos. And part of that is, granted, that's saving Earth. He was probably gonna get his shit together for that, but like everything he does, I feel like has Killmonger talking in the back of his head, saying, "Are you doing all you can do?"
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a great point actually that you bring up, and very valid too. So I can definitely see I can definitely see like why you would keep them the way that they were established. I mean, just for like my personal preference, I would have liked T'Challa to at least in front of Killmonger have had like a little bit more presence, like fake it till you make it kind of shit.
Yeah, I can see that. I see your point on that, absolutely.
Because I feel like in front of your nation, in front of everyone that is supporting you, he still looks a little frightened, to me at least. And I feel like...
But isn't that quiet strength,
these
though?
people's protectors. What?
Isn't that his quiet strength, though? And that why ultimately, like, say, someone like M'Baku, like, really came to consider him a brother and respect him? I see what you're saying. I do. I see that point very validly. I do. I don't know. That's a rough one for me.
No,
Hannah's playing with her toy, so that's that noise.
There's two sides, and I mean, you're not wrong, and I'm not wrong.
No, no one's wrong. It's just...
yeah.
I mean,
overall, I think that Black Panther is one of the best movies Marvel has done. I don't know if they'll pull off a sequel as well as they did all of the other sequels that have come for all of the other superheroes. But I think that this one was was a really good movie.
See, I think it was a very good film. I don't think it was amazing. I think what it hi Hannah. I think what it represents is on another level and vital to the cultural landscape and pushing the narrative forward in the real world. I do think, like most Marvel films in Phase 3, like Captain America, not Captain America, Doctor Strange, not Thor and not Cap, and not Homecoming, but pretty much all the other ones in Phase 3, I feel like were very by the numbers.
Let's not talk about Homecoming, please.
You don't like Homecoming? I don't like Far From Home. Homecoming, the first one, I enjoyed.
Oh, okay. Sorry, then my bad.
Yeah. I know. I did that the other day. Actually, I was talking to someone. I'm like, I hate Homecoming. I'm like, wait, no. Homecoming, I enjoyed. God, Hannah. Far From Home, I thought it was shit.
They go to Europe, right?
Yeah. I hate it. That movie was. Honestly, I do truly believe that I don't understand. Oh my God, so loud. I truly believe that I don't understand what Spider-Man's appeal is and who he actually is as a character, because I hated the first Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire. I enjoyed the second one. Third one I thought was shit. Amazing is like, we don't even talk about that. And then like I enjoyed Homecoming, but people said it was the least Spider-Man, and that Far From Home was more like Spider-Man. And I'm just like, the ones that I hear are the most like him, I think are the worst ones. So I'm gonna tap out of this conversation because I don't think they're particularly good films, and maybe I just don't get who Peter Parker is. I mean, I loved Into the Spider-Verse, and people do say that's the best one of all of them. I don't know. I really don't understand how it is people like Far From Home and Spider-Man 1 and all those. I don't understand that. That being said, going back to what we were saying, I do feel Black Panther was fairly procedural for Marvel, but Killmonger's the thing that made it amazing. The special effects were rushed. They were terrible. The special effects took a huge step back. So the overall craft of the film, as far as the full finished product, lacks. You have Doctor Strange on one level. I think story is here in Doctor Strange, fairly average. Special effects great. Black Panther's story, but special effects are like down here, which I know they rushed. I saw a documentary they're talking about, or an interview where they talking about they rushed it, doing black on black because the way it was designed, especially that final battle on the the monorail, is that's not a monorail, I know, but they pretty much have two guys in black costumes doing on black backgrounds. That's hard for rendering, and computers aren't quite there yet. But still, you could have just had the two dudes doing it themselves, stuntmen doing it themselves. It was all CGI, and it looked bad. It looked like when Spider-Man flips, and you can tell when it goes from being the actor or the stuntman into the CGI. I don't appreciate that. Yeah. The story, I think, was, like I said, procedural, but Killmonger elevated it, and what it represents to the society will never happen again. And going back to the previous thing of talking about how they're forcing Marvel on us, I feel like what they did, they had Black Panther that became something bigger than they could have probably anticipated. And then it was a cultural tour de force, a milestone. And then they said, well, that's what Captain Marvel is too. She's so brave and so fierce and so right on and so every woman, just like Oprah's theme song from Whitney Houston used to be. And she's going to change every little girl's life, and she's going to be down with kill the patriarchy and da 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 da. And it's forced upon us in the most unnatural, unlikable, poorly written way.
Shaking my head. No.
Ugh.
No. I mean, I think you failed to mention the fact that Captain Marvel was fucking emotionless the entire movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, Brie Larson is the equivalent of Kristen Stewart, who doesn't have an emotion.
Well, there's a whole generation of actors raised on Kristen Stewart now. Brie Larson, Sonequa Martin Green, a number of other male and female actors who they have one look. Like, you know who Sonequa Martin Green is, right? It's from Marking Dead and now Star Trek Discovery. Like, she's got that, like, this is serious and I'm taking care of business, and then it's like, and that's their range. I'm not saying I'm some great actor. I've done acting, but you don't always have to be a great actor to spot a bad one, I think is what they said in Galaxy Quest. There's a whole generation raised on Kristen Stewart. And I call it the Kristen Stewart method of acting. And that's Brie Larson, like you said. That's Sonequa Martin Green. That's a whole slew of others who happen to be title characters in this forced movement of we can't write any women with flaws. And that's an issue. Any character, male, female, transgender, alien, pink or purple polka dots, any ethnicity, if you write them without flaws, you lose all the drama.
Yeah.
And they wrote her without any flaws, but also without any emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, who connected with that character? I don't know anyone who connected with that character.
No. I mean, granted, I will say this. I thought that the movie was going to be a lot worse than what it was. I don't think it was necessarily bad, but I don't think it was great either. And if you compare it, I mean, this is Marvel's first female standalone movie, and they didn't do a good job at all. I mean, honestly, I feel like the Wasp was probably a better female superhero character than Captain Marvel was.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry. Oh, Hannah
to me, it just sucked. Now, Wonder Woman, on the other hand, I think DC did a great job with Wonder Woman. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that they really elevated themselves when they made this film. And granted, I'm not particularly a big fan of Gal Gadot. I think she's beautiful. Her acting skills, on the other hand, are
so
subpar on any other occasion. But I think she did the character justice. I like her interpretation of it, and I also think that they took the essence of Wonder Woman and, you know, like, actually told an origin story for once and didn't fuck it up.
Yes. I feel like it became extraordinarily predictable and kind of fell apart in the third act. I don't like what they did with the villain. Do I have issue with her? No, because at least they wrote her as she's a fish out of water. She's a three-dimensional character. She doesn't know everything. There's still more to learn. She's growing through that film. Do I think it's the best example? No, but as far as, like, obviously the comparisons are always going to be there between the two female lead, women lead of the two major franchises. I mean, yes, Wonder Woman's up here, Marvel's down here. The performance, the writing, everything is Wonder Woman superior. The film overall, I take issue with, like I said, the third act. But yeah, I can't disagree with you on those aspects of, like, actually doing it, especially for DC, doing it well.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, like, when I saw that DC was coming out with, like, the Wonder Woman movie, I was like, I don't know, like, I had my, like,
Yeah.
I was very iffy on it.
Well, you were coming off those other movies. I was just like, oh, who are they going to ruin now?
Exactly. And I mean, even for Aquaman, even the fact that they casted Jason Momoa, and I was very iffy on it. Not because
I'm still iffy on
not because I didn't think,
I'm still iffy on it.
I'm not that iffy because I thought that he did a good job. I still think that he was Jason Momoa doing Aquaman.
That's my problem.
But I do think that him overall is an improvement on, like, the original comic book Aquaman, who is blonde, blue eyes, and, like, white as fuck.
But what's wrong with that? Because they made it work with Captain America. Again, I can always look back to Captain America and say, this character should not have worked in the modern mythos, in the modern telling of the modern audiences, the way we look at things. This blonde-haired, I think blue-eyed, all-American, World War II, rah, 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 America, America, should not have worked. But they didn't take him and say, well, we've got the one everyone loves. We got Tony. We got Robert Downey Jr. All right, we've got Thor. Thor actually came second, and people like him look at him as Chris Hemsworth. All right, you know what? We don't need another Chris. Let's find someone who's going to put that. The men are going to go see this regardless because it's part of their superhero franchise. Let's get someone who the women are going to go want to drool over. And that's Jason Momoa. They didn't do that. Chris Evans' women drool over him, but he's still that clean-cut, all-American guy that should not have worked, but they made the character and the story and the depth work, and they had a plan. And they didn't say, let's take the easy road out and get a surfer dude, bro. Momoa did a great job of what he was given. Again, like you said perfectly. He's Momoa playing Aquaman.
Yeah.
And it's a cop-out. I know some of the comics later look like that pre-Momoa. Like, they had, like, the different look for him. But it's just like, again, is that betray? You have issue with Superman being betrayed, the core essence of who he is. Isn't that what they did with Aquaman at the end of the day?
I think I'm more likely to let it slide just because like Aquaman wasn't really one of my favorite superheroes.
I mean, he's not on the level of
no.
Yeah.
Anyone's life, truly. Like I have yet to meet someone who tells me that Aquaman is their favorite superhero. Maybe now after Jason Momoa, but still from before.
Oh my god. I mean, I love Jason Momoa. He's funny. He makes fun of himself, and anyone has a sense of humor about himself, like that commercial where he takes off his hair and his belly, his abs and shit. I'm like, oh, he looks more like me now. But I don't know. I think they copped out with him. I think that was a complete and total cop out. I really,
I don't really think so because here's how I'm seeing it. I think that they wanted to ground Aquaman a little bit more, right? Strip him of his blonde hair, blue eyes, like, and make him a little bit more real and true to like what an islander would look like, you know?
But he's not an islander. He's some underground. He's under the water. He's Atlantis.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but he doesn't live in Atlantis. He was born on dry land, on an island.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
So.
Fair.
And
to Nicole Kidman.
I don't know. Exactly.
What the fuck was that? There's no way in hell you get Momoa coming out of Kidman. That doesn't fucking happen.
I mean, no, but there's his dad. You know, like you could see the resemblance.
Yeah. I know.
So I mean, they still find it hard that his dad had that strong genes. You know, that stronger genes. So like, but that's another story completely.
Who's hotter, Cavill or Momoa?
Oh, Cavill. Come on now. I didn't even have to think about that one.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I do. It's a good point. I just.
You don't have to concede.
I know. Neither one of us concede ever. We're too strong in our own opinions. But I don't know. I feel like he was such a cop out, and it was just like, who's hot right now that'll put women in the seats and make them not dread having their boyfriends drag them there. I mean, granted, that's a stereotype. I mean, there are women like you, the awesome ones that love comic books and film and genre. Like, I'm not trying to be like sexist by any means, but I know the studio heads think in very one-dimensional demographic terms, and to them, women are rom-coms and Twilight, and comic books are men and nerds who can't get laid in their eyes. And I know that Jason Momoa he's the hot face right now that got women in the seats to them. And I just think it's a cop-out. I think they could have really gone with the traditional Aquaman and made it work like they did, like Marvel did with Cap.
for Cap, it was different. Yes, they had a good storyline. Yes, they had like a good director and like supporting cast and all of that. But my one thing with Cap is just that he and Chris Evans, not for nothing, but he embodies like the all-American man. Like I see him, and even before he was in Captain America. Let's talk about this movie that he did with Scarlett Johansson, where he plays. That Scarlett Johansson is a nanny. It's a rom com.
That's why I don't
You've
know.
never seen it? Okay. Well, there you go. Well, so Scarlett Johansson just graduated. She finds a job as a nanny, and there's this guy in her building, like in the apartment above her or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cutie, and it just so happens to be Chris Evans. And even in that movie, like I'm looking at him, and to me, he's like the all-American guy. You know, like he's out with his like frat brothers or his friends, and he's good to the core, but he's also a guy. You know, like
Yeah, no, I see that.
all of these things. So that's why I think that Chris Evans worked so well for Cap, because you look at him and like he's the all American guy. You know, like if you ask me to like signal someone who I would think would embody that, I would honestly have chosen him. No lie.
I agree, and I think it's a stroke of genius to cast him.
I do too.
So that being said, if they were to actually do that with Aqua, had they done that, what about someone like Chris Pine? What if they had gotten someone with those acting chops? Because yeah, think about it. He's got that all like he could pass for the older comic book versions of Aquaman, but give him more depth. No.
I don't see it.
Do you like Chris Pine as an actor?
I do like Chris Pine. But I just don't see it.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not saying I do necessarily completely, but I'm just thinking which Chris is not a superhero, even though he's in Wonder Woman twice.
Yeah. How'd they pull that off?
I mean, it's a superhero film. You can do anything you want. So, do you think again? Now we've gone in so many different directions. Which studio is in better shape right now?
I still find it like with all their crap and their chaos going on, I still want to say that Marvel has a lead on DC. Because even though DC has Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and they have seemed to like found some sort of method to the madness that is them.
And Joker.
It's only 2 movies. Well, yeah, but
Joker's technically part of it.
Yeah, but
it's a standalone.
Like DC licensed.
But that's what the direction they're going in, because they're talking about also like having another Justice League film, but you're going to keep some of the same actors. Again, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller. But recast.
He's a horrible choice for Flash, by the way.
I like Ezra Miller. I don't feel they gotten the Flash right at all since the 90s TV show in like 90, 91, where Mark Hamill played the trickster, which is basically the Joker. Anyway, I don't know if you've ever seen that. You ever seen that? You've seen it? Yeah, John Wesley Ships. Got to work with him when I worked on One Life to Live. He was a nice guy. Is a nice guy.
He was in this movie, not this movie, sorry, in the TV show,
The
Flash.
Mm-hmm.
They brought the original Flash from that show.
I know, that's awesome.
To be the dad, which I thought it was great. I honestly thought that.
I appreciate it. Just like they brought back Brandon Routh for the whole Crisis on Infinite Earth or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
I thought that was great. By the way, actually no, because I keep reverting back to Superman. So I'm gonna ask you something.
Everything's
but
Superman.
No,
ask me.
What?
Ask me.
No,
What
have
is
you
it?
seen the series Supergirl?
I watched the first few episodes when it was on CBS, and then I quickly lost interest. I'm sure it did get CW better as they moved to the CW, but I can't. And that Superman I think is god awful. I did watch a few with him, and I couldn't do it.
I did too, and I was just like, "Good Lord, please no, please just stop."
I feel like they
Just
were like, oh,
no.
he's gonna be on it like once, we can cast anybody, and then they're like, oh wait, oh well, now you're a part of this larger thing.
No. I feel like that was just like that was an awful choice.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, because I like the actor, just not in the role of Superman. And I don't like no, it just doesn't work. No,
Fair.
sorry.
So
So back to what we were talking about.
yeah, DC
before.
and like that. I mean, now they're doing this whole thing where like they might mix people up, but now with the Snyder Cut coming out on HBO Max in a few months, they're saying
I still feel very iffy about that.
I still think it's gonna suck. I think it won't suck as much, but I also think Joss Whedon did his best to try to make something with levity. You talk about dark. DC, this is gonna be a dark film, but at least Dark Side's going to be in it. Whatever. There's the rumor mill is that what they've sprinkled out there for the fandom is that if that's received well and fairly a fair success, that they will bring back Ben Affleck. They'll look to bring back Ben Affleck, and Henry Cavill's already in talks to, if not confirmed, to return as Superman in a more Nick Fury-esque type of role for the DC EU moving forward. How do you feel about the possibility that this incarnation of the Justice League may return in completion?
I still feel like this movie's gonna suck balls.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do to it that's gonna make it better? Like, as it is, I'm sure that there's like plenty of footage that just didn't make the cut in the original one.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably just going to like snip that in and probably refilm some scenes to like add in.
I don't think they'll refilm, but yeah, definitely. I mean, because Joss Whedon reshot something like 60% of it, so there's a whole 60% we don't know about, we never saw.
Yeah, exactly. And so, whether that 60% is good or not, I'm very iffy about it. Just like, because nothing that I've seen before, like even Batman versus Superman, like beginning by the fact that that movie on its own is like a huge clusterfuck, and that they like magically seem to like see eye to eye just because both of their mothers are named Martha.
Save Martha.
Martha.
Who the fuck is Martha? Like, okay, I mean, every nerd in the last however many years it's been has waxed as eloquent as possible about this possible. Ad nauseum, we've gone on and on. And look, I remember when I was young and I was like, oh shit, they both have the same name. That's cool. I wonder if they ever talk about that in the Hall of Justice. That being said, if I was going to kill you, Jaina, I don't know what your mother's name is. Like, if you, let's just say her name is Gloria. I don't know. If I were to kill you, you say, save Gloria, I'd be like, I don't know who it is, I don't give a fuck who that is. And I'd kill you. If you said, save my mother, I might be like, I get that.
Yeah.
It could have been something similar. They could have, if they had to go back, which they had to go back and show the deaths again with fucking Negan and Maggie as his mothers and father, and go back. They could have made it a thing where, like, he had this psychosis about his mother's death where, like, that would hit home to him. It could have been a similar moment where it was about the humanity that, everyone's got a mother, so to speak. But save Martha.
But if we're going to talk about Batman versus Superman, let's start with the fact that their friendship started off really, like, if you a true fan and you followed the comic book,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know that their friendship started off strong and that their relationship didn't decline until later on, like years down the line, is when their friendship starts to decline. This movie didn't give us any of that. Like,
No.
didn't give us like if when with this movie, it felt like um okay, Justice League came and like we realized that we need Superman, so we need to bring him back. So like we're forced to work with him instead of it
Mm-hmm.
being like they're all friends, they're all bonded by this like mutual
But they didn't take the time. Marvel took the time. DC
no.
tried to catch up,
No,
and you
because
can't do
they
it.
wanted to catch up to Marvel,
Yeah.
which is stupid. Because like if you're gonna do your own thing, you have to do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's different sets of superheroes altogether, and not only that, you have the most famous superheroes under your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Like I mean, come on now, like
Yeah.
Batman and Superman. Every single child knows who they are.
Everyone.
Every single child.
Everyone knows who they are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Children,
I'd say
adults, everyone.
98% of this world knows who Batman and Superman are.
I mean, it's
You don't
hard
even
for you
need to have
come
seen
across
anything.
someone who doesn't know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Everyone.
So it's just like you have, and mind you, when Marvel started the movies and everything, like I knew about those superheroes because I'm a fucking nerd, and obviously like I love the comics
Yeah.
and the cartoons and all of that. But I can guarantee you that more than half of the people that saw the movies for the first time it was the first time that they were hearing about those superheroes.
I think
They
knew
no
Hulk.
idea who they were.
They knew Hulk and they knew of Cap. But they
Yeah.
probably knew Hulk was a TV show. Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde. He gets angry. He's green, and Cap is corny, and that's it. Iron Man is
But
a
also
song.
the Hulk had previous movies before,
Yeah.
so people knew of him,
Well,
right?
so did Cap, but we don't talk about those. But
No,
or David Hasselhoff played
sacrilege.
Nick Fury, but yeah, I mean, and it was really the TV show of the Incredible Hulk that really kept it in people's minds. And yeah, and yeah, Thor appeared in it, and it was just like, but it was pathetic. But in Cap's pathetic movies with his like foam suit. Yeah, no, but like you say, no one had a true understanding of, and there was maybe 1.5 name recognition for any of these characters with Hulk and sort of Captain America, and they made gold out of nothing. I mean, the stories were there. I shouldn't say nothing, but the public consciousness was next to nothing, and they made gold because they took their time. Whereas DC had every tool in the kit.
Mm-hmm.
So you
And
think?
they didn't use any of it.
Yeah.
They did it, unfortunately, which is very sad because I mean, like, these are household staples. Like I mentioned before, I have yet to meet anyone who doesn't know who Batman and Superman is. Like, even if they're not into superheroes at all, like, you could ask someone like for example, let's take my sisters. They're not nerds at all. They're not into um, superheroes. They don't like any of it. But you ask them who's Superman and who's Batman, and they will know.
They will say
they'll be able to
Superman's
tell you.
the fictional character my sister's in love with, and Batman's that guy with the ears. So if you were the executive in charge at Warner Brothers of the franchise, what would be your move to fix the DC universe on film?
Oof. That's a big one. But I think obviously like my first step would be just to like take a step back, rethink everything, and re-strategize in terms of like how I want to present these superheroes to the public, and how I want to like what my end goal for all of these movies is going to be. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily copy what Marvel has done, but I would definitely give each superhero their time to shine,
Mm-hmm.
because right now the superheroes that are the most famous are all Marvel related, right? Those are the ones that are like forefront in everyone's minds. So I would take the time to just, not necessarily Batman, because I feel like Batman has been done over and over again throughout the years. Um, and I also think that Batman does have a lot of depth as a character.
Yeah.
I would take the time to just kind of like update Superman as a superhero, because as much as I love him, he is an outdated superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like they've taken the time to really learn about him and bring him forward into a new light and make him more relatable.
Without betraying who
Um,
he is.
exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I feel like those would probably be the first two steps that I would make. Um, like just updating the superheroes, and then just giving each one an origin story, um, and then slowly start incorporating um, different superheroes into different movies. Like maybe do like crossovers
Mm-hmm.
here and there, to like have them build like some sort of like character bond between one and the other,
Okay.
and then ultimately culminate, sorry, with a with a movie, all of them working together to like fight some sort of evil that's going to like destroy the earth.
So would it be a
I feel
complete
like it's every other movie.
complete restart, cold stop, full restart?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I agree. That's what I would do.
Because I don't feel like anything that's been done now has like truly done it any justice at all.
Yeah, I would do the exact same things. I don't feel that there's any way to properly fix this. You've gone through too many actors. You've gone through too many attempts. I would really start from scratch and take time with it. I feel like
Never do some proper casting too.
exactly, and I do feel like something that I would love to happen is what I want to happen with Marvel, and I know it's not going to happen, but I wish it would. Is that they would put X Men as a television show with a Game of Thrones type budget, with 10, 13 episodes, because the best incarnation of the X-Men is still the 90s cartoon, in my opinion. And they had time to flesh out story.
Absolutely.
So with the time to flesh out these stories, it's very hard to get Phoenix right. Not to say that they even really attempted twice now to get it right. How you fuck that up twice, I don't know. But to tell that story properly, it is not that hard to fuck it up. But to tell Genosha properly, to tell the mutant, freedom fighting and Phoenix and Apocalypse and Sinister and you name it, all the different storylines that they tackled.
Give Cyclops a proper chance to be a superhero.
Give them all a proper chance. I think James Marsden could have been a great Cyclops, but let's face it, Famke Janssen was not the right choice. Halle Berry was not the right choice. Hugh Jackman, great as he was, Logan is small, ugly, and rough around those edges. Hugh Jackman is tall. I mean, he got enough boxing shape for it, so to speak. But he's tall and handsome. He's a leading man. Wolverine is a son of a bitch. Everyone's worried about who's going to be next Wolverine. Stop casting leading men. Cast someone. He should be more like Rorschach in Watchmen than he should be Han Solo.
Yes,
and
I agree.
They're terrified to do that. But Cyclops can be your leading man. You can have multiple leads. Game of Thrones pre the later seasons. Yeah, they prove it to you.
I mean, but just go back to the cartoons. Like, if you think about it, like, Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, Wolverine is, like, maybe, like, second or third, like, down the line. But, like, Cyclops is the leading man. You know? Like, he's the one that's going to lead you into battle. He's the one that's got a plan for everything. Wolverine is fucking hot-headed
Yeah.
and goes in, like barging in first and then asks questions later. Like
Yeah.
I think they struck gold when they cast Hugh Jackman for the role
Yeah.
because
And he was their second choice.
again,
He was their third choice, actually. No, fourth choice.
and yet I think he did a great Wolverine.
He did.
Like
But
I
it's
think
not.
he did a great Wolverine.
But it does betray all those characters, with the exception of elements of both the young and the old Xavier and Magneto. Betray because they didn't capture the depth of Jean Grey and Cyclops' relationship. They didn't capture Storm was terrible. Every incarnation of almost every one of those characters was just bland and shitty. They didn't capture Hank. They didn't capture any of them. And I do feel that because X-Men is such a large canvas with so many characters, to do it right, it needs to be a show. In the same way that Batman, I almost rather there'd be a Batman series than a new film franchise, because again, the two greatest cartoons, two of the greatest, maybe not the greatest, but up there, are Batman the Animated Series at the 90s that ran almost completely adjacent to the X-Men cartoon. I think X-Men was a little later, but like,
man, that was my childhood.
oh, how fucking great! Like, you answered the question: who's the best Joker? It's Mark Hamill. Who's the best on film?
Yes.
It's Heath Ledger.
Yes.
That says something. Who's the best Batman? Kevin Conroy. On film, up for grabs. Who's the best? Every X-Men, it's the cartoons. It's the cartoon.
Yes.
And not the new ones,
It's
not the
so
new
sad,
evolution,
too.
this, that, and the other, all that bullshit, but like the 90s cartoon. And you could do both those superhero genre, like franchises, such justice if you just did, but it's not the same. But I think maybe now, after, given COVID, given streaming, given the fact that like movie theaters are going to be out of the picture for a lot of people for a year and a half to come, and the future is watching it at home, because now we all have the means, and not all of us, but a lot of people have home entertainment systems. Maybe the horrific state of the world, and I don't mean to trivialize what's going on or say this is, I'm glad this is going to happen because people are dying. By no means do I mean that, but cause and effect, one of the effects might be that the studios will see some profit in doing certain franchises in long form than rather just getting your asses in the theater. I doubt it, but who knows?
I mean, it would be great if they would do that, but I mean, I think that everyone is thinking that this will be over at some point or another, and we'll go back to the way that things were. Don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case or not, but we will stay positive about this whole situation.
Well, how are things in Miami right now? To get off topic slightly,
sorry?
how are things in Miami by you right now?
People here are stupid and they don't know how to wear a mask.
Oh, same here. Probably more so down there, but yeah, I mean, it's sad. It's very sad.
I just feel like, and obviously, my personal opinion, I just feel like it's very disrespectful if you don't wear your mask. Because, I mean, masks are meant to protect us, and we're being asked to wear them for a reason. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it does you any harm to wear a mask.
No.
That they are uncomfortable? Absolutely. But think about it this way. Would you want your surgeon who's going to perform a life-saving surgery on you to do it without wearing a mask? Where you can literally get any sort of bacteria, infection, or something in your system because you don't like masks. You don't like wearing masks because like you refuse to wear a mask. Like that makes no sense.
And everyone has said it as well as what you just said. It's very true. Is the whole not driving drunk thing, just because I'm driving drunk, you're fine, kind of, or the seatbelt argument, or whatever it might be. It's the rest of the world seems to get it. I'll leave it there. But I don't know. I mean, we've gone on for quite some time. We didn't get a chance to get into Star Trek or Star Wars, But I hope you'll
I'm
come.
wearing my Star Wars shirt too.
What is it? Come to the dark side?
Yes.
Nice.
That's exactly what it says.
Well, I invite you back to the future so we can next time we can focus on Star Trek and Star Wars. Are you willing to come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, awesome. So we'll wrap it. We'll start to wrap it up then, unless you have much more to add to the superhero aspect of things. I will wrap it up with a series of rapid fire questions. Don't think about it. Just tell me the first name that comes to mind. Who is the best Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Best Joker on screen.
Heath Ledger.
Second best.
Jack Nicholson.
Third best. I know, Jared Leto. Did you not like
No,
Joaquin Phoenix?
He doesn't. No, Jared Leto does not qualify to me as a Joker. Thank you.
Best Superman.
Christopher Reeves.
Okay. I guess that's kind of it as far as the superheroes that I can think of right now. I mean, obviously, those are the ones that have had the most actors playing them and whatnot. And so I'm gonna do something that I've always wanted to do. You ever watch Inside the Actors Studio with the guy who died? They would interview the actors, and he would be very reserved and ask them questions. You've never seen it? Good. People out there, I'm sure, have, and I've always wanted to interview people and ask them these questions. So they always close every show asking a series of questions.
Okay.
Jaina, what is your favorite word?
Pipoca.
What does that mean?
It means popcorn in Portuguese.
Okay, cool. What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Kindness.
What turns you off?
Someone being rude and disrespectful.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What sound or noise do you love?
The sound of rain falling. I love it.
What sound or noise do you hate?
White noise. Drives me crazy.
It's like my air conditioner right now. What profession other than the one you're in now would you like to attempt?
Film director, actually.
Film director? Really? You would like to? Okay. Oh, sorry. We're on that question. Yes, I was already in my head skipping to the one you don't want to do. So film director, that'd be good. That's a good one. I was about to say head of a comic studio. What profession would you not like to do? That's what I was thinking.
Anything in finance.
Fair. And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you as you arrive at the pearly gates?
Henry Cavill is waiting for you here.
I think that perfectly sums up tonight's podcast. Thank you, Jaina. We'll talk after and figure out when you can next come beyond, because I so want to discuss the state of Star Trek and Star Wars. I really want to nerd out with you because obviously that's my passion. So we'll figure out, have you on very soon. Thank you to all who watched. And please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Anything you want to say in closing, Jaina?
No, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Thank you. Everyone, be good to each other and go to sleep, please.